All right, in this last lesson, we are going to make our lace in thread. So this is the very exciting part. I've pricked my pricking, I've got it on my pillow. The next thing I need to do is wind my bobbins. So there are two things I need to figure out. How many bobbins should I wind and how much thread to put on each bobbin? So let's look at each of those questions. To figure out how many bobbins to wind, the first thing we'll do is look at the ground area in our pricking. So across the top, we have a bunch of pins, and each pin has two outgoing pairs. So I count the number of pins, 1, 2, 3 in this case, and I multiply it by 2. So there are 6 pairs for working just the ground part of this pattern. On the sides, I have this frame. The frame has 2 pairs of passives on each side. So that's 4 pairs for just the passives. And then there's also an extra pair that is used to do the pin after 2 edging. So one on this side and one on that side. So in total, I need 6 pairs to work the frame. So I have 6 pairs for the ground and 6 pairs for the frame, for a total of 12 pairs for this particular pricking. If I take a look at this example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pins across the top. So that's 2 times 4 gives me 8 pairs for the ground, plus 6 pairs to do the frame. So that's a total of 14 pairs. Now the next thing is how much thread to wind on your bobbin. So the rule that I use is 2 times the length of your pattern, plus a little bit to wrap around the bobbin and to give you a little bit of a leash from the work to the bobbin. So I will measure out 1, 2, and I'm usually pretty generous on that. So that's the length to do the work. And then I need to do wrapping around the bobbin, and I usually put about 20 centimeters for that. Now the next thing I do is double it, because that was just 1 bobbin. So I'm just going to pinch it and double it over to measure out twice that distance. All right, and then I can cut that off. And that is the amount of thread for 1 pair or 2 bobbins. And I'll measure that out for each pair and wind them. I'm going to start by putting 2 temporary pins somewhere above my pattern. And then I'm going to hang 2 pairs on each pin in this open rainbow style. Now take the 4 bobbins that are in the middle and work cross, twist, cross, twist, twist. So 2 twists at the end. Then take a pin and put it in one of the holes across the top. I like to start in the middle. Now you'll see that there are some foot side passives. So the next thing I'm going to do is take another temporary pin and hang my passives on it. So there are 4 threads in the passive, which is 4 pairs. Four of the bobbins go to the left and 4 of the bobbins go to the right. So in total I have 4 pairs. All right, and what I'm going to do is work cloth stitch with these worker threads that are hanging down through the passives. Cross, twist, cross. Cross, twist, cross, cross, twist, cross. Okay, and then they're going to come up here. Now I'm going to work a left to right. So what I typically do is put a pin, kind of wrap them around the pin and pull them tight so that they're not going to wobble around on me. Okay, now we can take these are our passives, we'll pull them down. And I'll take this pair that's around the right pin and bring it down. What I'm going to do is twist it twice. Now I'm going to hang 2 pairs on this pin. 1, 2. And I'm going to work the same as we did before. I'm going to go cross, twist, twist, and put a pin in between those 2 pairs and then the next pin to the right. And now these bobbins are going to work cloth stitch through the foot side passives. And now to kind of keep those footside passives in place, I'm going to take not the last pair that went through, but the second last and the third last, and I'm going to give them a twist and then do a crossed twist. And I'm going to pin them in the pin that's here right between the two pins in the first row. There's a pinhole in the second row. I'm just going to pin them there, and I'm going to close that pin, cross twist. And that's going to keep my footside passives nicely in place. All right. So now I can add on 2 more pairs. So I remove this pin, bring this down, give it 2 twists, and now hang 2 pairs on that pin. 1, 2, and these are going to work through, they're going to work our basically it's our foot side stitch, cross, twist, twist. And I'm going to pin in between those 2 pairs. And now these 2 pairs are going to work through the foot sides again. Tension my foot sides up. All right, and then now I'm going to put this pair aside and take the next 2 pairs, twist, cross, twist, and then put a pin between the pairs here in the second row. All right. Now I can see that I'm tensioning my foot sides nicely in place. Okay. I'm going to continue this way until I get to the corner. So bring this pair down, twist, twist, hang another 2 pairs. Cross, twist, twist. Pin between on the first row. Work these 2 pairs through the foot sides, the foot side passives. Move that side pair to the side, take the next 2 pairs, twist, cross, twist, and put a pin in the second row and close it with a cross twist. Bring this pair down and give it 2 twists. Hang 2 pairs, cross, twist, twist. Pin in between. Work these pairs through the foot side passives. Ignore the first pair, take the second and third, twist, cross, twist. Pin between, cross, twist. Okay, now I'm at the corner. So let me just tidy it up a little bit. Make these pairs sort of the same length. Okay, now I'm going to work the corner. So I have my 2 foot side passives and I have a worker thread here. First thing I'm going to do on this pair that's on the far right is give it 2 twists. Next, I'm going to take the third pair from the right, so this is a foot side passive, and I'm going to work it through the other foot side passive using cross, twist, cross. So just as cloth stitch through the other foot side passive, 2 twists, and then our foot side stitch. So cross, twist, twist. and place a pin into the corner. Tension that up nicely. And then I'm going to take the second pair from the right, and I'm just going to do cross stitch through the foot side passive and then leave it there. So these now are my foot side passives. And I'm going to take the fourth pair from the right, and I'm just going to work it cross stitch through the foot sides. Cross, twist, cross, cross, twist, cross. Give it 2 twists. Do my foot side stitch, so cross, twist, twist. And this time I'm going to pin it on the first pin on the right side. So the first pin on the side, which is the last pin in the second row. There, so that's my first foot side pin on the right side. And now I can work the second pair from the right back through the foot side passives. Give it a twist. And now it's ready to work the ground. Okay, so that's my right side corner. Now we need to finish adding on the pairs for the left side. So let's go back to the left side. And on our way back, I'm just going to make sure the tension looks good and the lengths look good. That one's a bit long. As you get to the left side, things are going to get a bit wobbly because we haven't got as many stitches holding things in place, so don't tension too hard over there. Okay, so now we're going to continue from right to left. So we bring this pair down and give it 2 twists, and now we're going to add 2 more pairs to our temporary pin. 1, 2. Then our do cross, twist, twist. Pin in between these 2 pairs along the top row. And now these 2 pairs are going to work through our foot side passives. At this point, it's always a good idea to check to make sure your foot side passives haven't twisted around each other, because they were sort of hanging out here waiting for us. Who knows what they got up to. All right, so we're going to do cloth stitch, so cross, twist, cross, twist, cross. And the second one as well, cross, twist, cross, twist, cross. Okay, and now we'll put this leftmost pair here. So we have a worker pair and 2 foot side passives, and then we'll take the 4th pair from the left, put it aside for the moment. And then we'll take the next 2 pairs and do a twist, cross, twist. Put a pin in the second row in between the 2 previous pins, 2 pins in the top row. Tension them nicely. All right, and now we can add another pair. So bring everything back. This pair comes down. Lengthen that a bit. Gives it 2 twists, and now we're going to hang 2 pairs again. 1, 2, and then we'll do our foot side stitch, so cross, twist, twist. Put a pin in between these 2 pairs at the top row, and work these 2 pairs through our foot side passives. So cloth stitch, cross, twist, cross, that's 1, cross, twist, cross, that's 2. Okay, so we have our worker and our 2 foot sides up there at the top. The 4th pair from the left, put that aside. Take the next 2, twist, cross, twist. Put a pin in the second row. Close it with a cross twist. All right, bring everything down. In the leftmost pair, we're going to give it 2 twists. Hang 2 more pairs. cross, twist, pin between the two pairs to the top row, work these two pairs through our foot sides, cross, twist, cross, twist, cross, put the 4 pairs to the side on the left, give the next 2 pairs a twist and a cross, twist, pin, cross, twist to close the pin. Bring everybody back down. Give this pair 2 twists. And these are our final 2 pairs to add. Cross, twist, pin between the 2 pairs. Okay, and there should be 1 last pinhole remaining in the top row. Going to work these 2 pairs through the foot side passives, cross, twist, cross, cross, twist, cross, cross, twist, cross. Okay, put 4 pairs to the left. The next 2 pairs do a twist, cross, twist, pin between the pairs, and close the pin. Okay, so now I have come to the second corner. So let's bring our pairs down. Okay, the pair that's on the leftmost gets 2 twists. Before I demonstrate the corner a second time, let's just talk about it. So I have a worker pair, that's the leftmost pair. I've added all my pairs, so we have a pair that's coming straight down. That's this pair here coming straight down. And we have 2 foot side passives represented by these 2 lines. What I'm going to do next is take my foot side passive and take it all the way out to do a foot side stitch with the outside working pair. So here are my foot side passives, and I take the one that's on the inside. So in this case, it's the 3rd from the left, and it's going to do cloth stitch, so cross, twist, cross through the other foot side. Let me just make that a little longer. Okay, it's done cloth stitch through the other foot side. Now we give it 2 twists, and we're going to do our foot side stitch. Cross, twist, twist. Put the pin into the corner. Okay, so that is basically here. We've taken the inside foot side passives, gone all the way out to the corner, and done our foot side stitch here at the corner. Now we're going to take the second pair and bring it back out. So it's going to go through the foot side passive and then just lay down. So it goes cloth stitch through one foot side, and now it's just going to lie down, and from now on, from there on, it's just going to be a foot side passive. Okay. And the last thing we want to do is take this pair through to do another foot side stitch. So the first foot side stitch on the left side. So that's this pair here. This pair is the 4th pair from the outside. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This pair here has just been waiting. And it's going to go cloth stitch through our 2 foot sides. Cross, twist, cross. Then twist twice. And then do a foot side stitch. Cross, twist, twist. And then we do what's called pin after 2. So we pin to the right of the 2 pairs in the first pinhole on the left-hand side. And now straighten everybody, give them a little tension, make sure we don't have any slack thread in there. I'm seeing a little bit of slack. Where's that? There we go. Okay, so it's nicely tensioned. And now we can just work our foot side as usual. So this second pair from the left goes through the foot side pair passes. Cross, twist, cross, cross, twist, cross, and give them a twist. Okay, now we are ready to work the ground. So the next step is to choose which stitches to use in your ground. And this is where things get really interesting and exciting. There are very few rules to follow. You have your basic stitches, your cross, your twist, twist just the left, or twist just the right. And if you use any combination of these, things are going to work out for you. So choosing which combinations is pretty much unlimited. Let's take some examples. Here's one you should probably be very familiar with. Cross twist. You can put a pin in the middle and then cross twist. This gives a nice, neat appearance. So the interesting thing about it is that the threads will follow fairly closely to the lines that you've drawn in your pattern. If you want them to follow the lines even more closely, you can add another twist or even 2 more twists so that the threads really wrap tightly around each other as they go from pin to pin. So as a first step, you could just work all of your pair crossings with cross twist, cross twist. Another common stitch to try is the half stitch or cross twist, and you could put a pin in between the 2 pairs when you're done. This is a little more difficult to work because it's not always easy to figure out which pin the pairs are coming from, so what has been worked and what do you need to work next. It has a nice open feeling to it, so the threads don't follow the lines that you've drawn in your pattern per se. They go in different directions and can fill the holes in a little bit. It gives a very airy look, and in my opinion, if you do everything in cross twist, all your patterns start to look sort of similar, so they start to look like the Bench Amour ground. So they're beautiful, but they don't have a lot of variety if you only use cross twist. But it's an interesting stitch to experiment with. You can also try this cross twist, twist, cross twist. So this turning stitch with a pin in the middle. So you would do cross twist, twist, pin, and then close the pin with cross twist. This gives you a little bit of a hole around your pin and also does some interesting things with the tension. So the pairs on the left are pulling to the left and the pairs on the right are pulling to the right. And so it's not as easy to tension as, say, cross twist, cross twist. And that gives you some interesting play about the symmetry of your pattern. But one thing I'd really like you to try and experiment with is using just the left twist or just the right twist. We do this on the foot side, but we rarely do it in our grounds. But you can get some really nice effects. For example, take a look at this one here. Here I'm using right and left twists for the effect that one pair of threads just go straight, so it's almost like doing cloth stitch. But the other pair of threads twists through them, and in particular you can see there's a twist here. It's actually a cross in between these 2 straight lines, which helps keep them separate, so that keeps them distinct. I've used this stitch here in this example where I wanted to have these parallel lines forming the V's and make them really stand out, and I wanted the lines of the V to be separate, and I also wanted the other lines that weren't part of the V, so there's sort of a horizontal line and a zigzag line. I wanted them to sort of recede into the background, to not be as obvious, so that having extra twists on them makes them recede. So I used this stitch, and you can also take the mirror of it. So instead of having just the lines going to the southeast, you could also have the parallel lines going to the southwest by flipping it around. Another interesting stitch is this one, which is like a triangle. So it's kind of like the triangle ground or the pagoda ground, except it only uses 2 pairs. So we have this cross left, cross right, cross left, cross sequence. And here we can see there's a bit of a triangle. So here, let me just kind of sketch the triangle in for you, pointing to the right. We have one red thread that just starts in the left and goes back to the left, and another blue thread that starts on the right and goes back to the right. So they're kind of pulling against each other, the same as we had, for example, in this turning stitch where we have threads pulling against each other. But then we also have this darker red thread and darker blue thread which cross over each other. And here you can see it mirrored. So here the triangle points to the right, and here the triangle is pointing to the left. These are not the only combinations you can use with the left and right twists, or combinations of all these things. So keep your mind open, experiment with them. The best thing to do is try a bunch of different things and pay attention to how the pairs of threads are moving and how individual threads are being affected by the pull and the tension of the other threads. If you're not familiar with working some of these non-traditional stitches, I've provided a handout in the notes with just a simple sampler. It's quite simple. It's just a diamond ground and a honeycomb ground here. And the idea is to try different stitches. So even though the diagram for the pairs is the same, in each section noted by these lines, I've suggested different stitches to try. So for the first part, it's cross, twist, twist, pin, cross, twist. And then we move on to a different stitch and so on. And I've also left 2 spots for you to invent your own stitches and try them out. On the bottom part, the honeycomb is for testing out different ideas for working with 2 pairs at a time. So remember, we have some places where there are 4 threads going from one pin to the next. So here's your chance to try out plaits and pin chains, tallies, and Venetian cords. There's a sampler in 45-degree grid and a sampler in 60-degree grid for you to try. And here is my own version that I worked on. And to be honest, I get a little bored, I guess. So it was very difficult for me to only work 1 stitch for the whole region. So instead, what I tried was looking at how many twists were here on the end and varying it. So in this first little bit, I did 1 twist, just as it said. And then on the next little section, I tried 0 twists. So I just took the twist off the end. And then the last bit, I tried 2 twists. And I did that for each of the different patterns, playing with how many twists there are as you go from one pin to the next. And that gives me a lot of variety to look at and see how the stitches appear. When I'm working with one of these symmetry patterns where I have reflections and rotations, in many cases, I would like to have the stitches be reflecting the symmetry of the pattern. So I have to figure out what the stitches are once I've reflected them or rotated them. If your stitch is complicated, sometimes I use this little trick. So I write down the columns, so left, cross, and right. And then I write my orientation. So this will be my B orientation. And let's say that the stitch I want to do is cross left, cross right, cross, something like that. So in my little table here, I make some X's. So cross, left, cross, right, cross. Okay. And then what I can do is turn my paper over and hold it to the window, or perhaps I can see through it. And I retrace the table, except this time I still put left and right on the proper side. And I trace all my X's. And now I can do the pattern for D. So D is cross, then it goes right, cross, left, cross, left, cross. Okay, so there's my pattern for D. And similarly, I can rotate it around. So here is my pattern for P. It will be cross, right, cross, left, cross. And going back to the first side, I can rotate that around and say my pattern for Q. Q is cross, left, cross, right, cross. Okay, so then I can take a fairly complicated sequence and figure out what are the patterns for each of those orientations so that the stitch will look the same as I've reflected it and rotated it. The main thing is to try lots of different examples and try different stitches. Don't just try one combination. Here's a very simple pattern. I'll show you the pricking on the back. It's not very complicated. We have these diamonds with lines through them, and I tried doing it in 3 different variations. So this one was half stitch, just cross twist. This one is cross twist cross, and this is cross twist cross twist. And you can see that they have a very significantly different appearance. And the other thing I did was there's a line that goes back and forth through it, and I used the twisting using left twist and right twist to weave that pair through the other threads. You have to practice and be patient and just experiment and play. Some things will turn out the way you like them, and some things will not. So in my experience, a lot of things didn't turn out exactly as I expected them. Sometimes when you take the pins out, things move around and they don't look quite as tidy as you might like. But then on another case, that might be an interesting pattern if you have something that's more organic going on. The key thing is just to be patient and to allow yourself to play. Nothing is right or wrong. There's just learning and finding out how things work. The more you play with it, the more you try, the more interesting things you're going to discover.